So if you have something that you want to advertise, and you go, you know what, I'm going to put it on, I'm going to buy a 30-second commercial, I'm going to do whatever in order to get my stuff out there. You're creating hype. You're renting the channel. The channel is not interested in your 30-second commercial. It never was. It's waiting for another section of the show that it actually turned on the teleprompter for. That's why owning your channel is important, because people will come to you for the reason, for the thing that you're interested in. So if you have, let's say, a channel about Mustangs, all of you love Mustangs, right? You all get together and talk about Mustangs and improving your Mustang and, I don't know, licking your Mustang or whatever you do. If you do that, then that's why the channel is there. It's there, and then if somebody else tries to advertise, tries to insert something into that, well, guess what? You still want to talk about Mustangs. You don't want to talk about this other stupid thing that they brought in, right? And that's the difference between hype and the channel. So I want you to stop talking and thinking about hype and renting other people's channels. The channel is forever. Hype dies, but the channel is forever. So controlling your future means controlling the channel. If you have a channel, something that you can put information through again and again and again, then what you're doing is you're creating this whole new thing that people will gather around, kind of a new tribe in a way, and then they will come to you over and over and over again because they're interested in the same kinds of things that you are. So if you like to go to the gym a lot, then you probably also might like outdoor sports. It's more likely that you'll like outdoor sports than if you like watching Friend reruns or Seinfeld reruns or something. These things kind of come together. So these people gather together in this really natural way. And when we do it on the internet, we can do it without any geographic restrictions. So it's even more powerful than it used to be, right? This is what a channel used to look like, though. You can do a lot of stuff with that remote, right? You can press the volume up, you can press the volume down, you can press mute, you can change the channel, you can turn it off, but there's one thing that you can't do. You can't talk back. The channel will not let you talk back. It is not interested in what you have to say at all. This is what channels look like now. People talking to each other, right? You ever been on a forum or on, I don't know, any kind of, any site really, like you go to a news site, go to CNN and they let you type in comments. This is what a channel is now. It's such a huge difference between 10, 20 years ago and what we have available today that we almost take for granted. But it's this incredible thing that allows people to communicate in a way that they already do naturally. It's just now that it's on the internet, it's on record, right? So they used to do it around the water cooler and then and nobody talked about it, nobody wrote it down, obviously, but now it's all over Twitter, it's written everywhere. You can't stop it from happening. But if you can build something around which people will gather, and you've got this incredible resource that your competitors or whatever don't have. My father is a career counselor. So, you know that movie Up in the Air? Have you guys seen that movie? Mm-hmm. Okay. So he used to do that with executives, CEOs. So whenever CEOs got laid off, he would be like, okay, yes, you want to, I don't know, plant a forest or something? Like, I'll help you plant a forest. And what he taught me, which is this incredible thing that I've never forgotten, and I didn't really understand it until recently, is that if you lose your job today, and you go out and you don't have a network, like a support network, nobody's going to be out there trying to look for a job for you. Here, watch me do it. Oh, I just lost my job. Can you give me a job? No, right? We don't know each other at all. You don't care about me. We don't, well, maybe, okay, I'm cute. I am cute. But aside from that, we don't have, we have nothing in common, you understand? So it's like, and actually I've done worse than that. What I've actually done is I've asked you for something without actually offering anything in return, really. So my situation is if I lose my job, the one thing that I really want to do is I want to have the network in place before I need it. It's not an obvious thing to do. Right? So ask everybody if they want to save money for retirement. And of course everyone's like, oh yeah, we need to save money for retirement. And then ask them if they are saving for retirement. Mm-hmm. And they don't. They're like, oh, I should be saving more. Well, then why don't you save more? I don't know, I just don't do it. You know? And everybody is like this. Not just about saving for retirement, but even about like, oh, shouldn't you, stop eating out and shouldn't you cook in your own house more often? Yes, well, why don't you? We just don't do it. So we don't build the network before the need. It's not instinctive. But even though it's not instinctive, it is extremely important, and it's not just true for jobs. It's also true for if you have a new project that's coming up, let's say you have a movie that you're working on, you go, well, you know what, I need to fund this movie, or I need people to see it, or I need people to help distribute it, whatever. It's a lot better if you know 10,000 people than if you know no one. So important, right? But the good thing is that the network doesn't just help you with your projects, and it doesn't just help you find a job, it also makes you happy. So studies have been done, and there's a book called Stumbling Onto Happiness, which talks a lot about this, what makes us happy versus what doesn't. And what they say is that for the average person in North America, over $50,000, you're not going to be made happier by an extra $1,000. Any $1,000 above that, the $50,000 range, it's not really going to make you happy at all. But what does make you happy is how close you are to the center of the network. So the more connections that you have with other people, and everybody knows this, I'm actually not teaching, this is not new. The more family members you have that you see more often, the happier you are. The more friends you have that you see more often, the happier you are. This is normal, it's instinctive, we know this, right? And yet we still go out and we seek other things that we feel might make us happy, but they don't. I'm here to tell you that the network is actually pretty much almost everything you need, because it will support you when you're down. It'll help you when you're up. If you have something new, it'll help you find a way to put it out there. It'll do all these things for you. And yet, we don't do it before the need. But that's what you need to do. You don't need it today, but so what? You will. The network also dissipates over time, right? So, you know, like your family members or your friends, they move away or they have kids. So you don't see them as often as you used to, right? And so, this is so funny, because like when I was around 25, I was figuring this out. I was like, wait, every couple that I know that's like kind of older, like let's say 45 or 50, like they have just one other couple that they hang out with. And I was like, I really can't let this happen. I have to figure out another. I still, you know, so you see my point, right? So it's like, you don't, you're like, you go, no, not for me. So you look at it and you go, okay, well, that's because the network dissipates. Over time, people have different priorities. They have other things that they do. They move away for a job or whatever. Or, you know, they marry somebody, they move out of town, whatever. So you have to always be working on that network. You always be working on the tribe. Because over time, all these people, they're not just there for you. They're there for themselves. They're working on their own life. And sometimes they'll go away. So always be working on the tribe. Always be trying to connect more people, not only to you, but to each other. Building tribes is critical. It is the most important thing that you can do for yourself, business-wise, personal-wise, for every reason. I used to go on this site called BME, which is all about tattoos and piercings and stuff like that. I have a lot more tattoos than it looks like. And about 10 years ago, the founder of this site was from Toronto. His name is Shannon Larrett. He would be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to start a movie, or I'm going to do whatever, start another site or something like that. And he'd be like, oh, you know, a documentary about piercing, or whatever it was. He'd be like, the who, the what, the why, you know, because it had never been done before. And it was amazing. I didn't understand it at the time. But you would see these like 10,000 people or more would be like, oh, I'd love to see that, and raise their hand, right? All these people raise their hand and go, I would like to help. And at first, I didn't really understand. Remember, this is a really long time ago. And I was like, this is like a cult of personality. It's really freaky. I don't get it. But what I now understand is that he had given them something around which they could gather, around which they had met other people that mattered to them. You know, sometimes people would get together and get married eventually, or, you know, all these different things, just friends, people that lived across town, or even neighbors that you've never met. Come on, like if you live in an apartment building, how many neighbors who's, like, do you know their names? Mm-hmm. You don't, right? So it's funny, these things, these places that people gather help us get closer to each other, and they do amazing things for us. That's the real reason that when he says, you know what, I'm going to make a movie, and 10,000 people raise their hand and say, I will